Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here. We're a little soggy today. The Elsa, the tropical storm, has kind of moved up the coast and is currently over New England right now. And so we're supposed to get lots of rain this morning and into the afternoon a little bit. So far so good. The water on the river hasn't come up too far yet. It's at our fence line right now, and I have a little bit more room for rain before our basement floods. It's only happened once since we've moved here, so I'm hoping that everything will be fine. So we've had a lot of rain so far this year in New England in the summer, which is not, I shouldn't say maybe not typical. I've only been here 7 years, but in the 7 years I've been here, this has been the rainiest summer so far. So we've had more water this time of year than we've had previous summers. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Not too hot, not too dry, not too wet. Isn't it hard when you live in a big country like this not to have different weather systems affecting different areas? We've got really wet people, we've got really dry people, really hot people, really smoked out people, and but I hope you're doing all well. And it's Friday, right? What's not to love about Friday? The weekend's coming up, so I see a few of you popped on here, and I will talk to you all afterwards. And I like to remind you that if you have questions, please pop them up in the messages so that I can answer them live. And if you're watching this as a replay, I will do my best to answer them after the fact, but it's always cool if I can answer it live, because then often I can show you, maybe it's an alternative or something to the project that I'm doing, so that I can just, answer your question naturally as a part of my tutorial. But I'll do it afterwards because I do get very distracted and I don't want to do that while I'm demonstrating. So today I have two projects for you. It started off as one project. I send a thank you card out to all my customers who order from me. And this is the card that I made for all my orders for June. And they are going out today-ish, maybe tomorrow, depending if the rain lets up a bit. I'm going to make a run to the post office. And if you ordered at least $50 with me last month, I have like all the host code gifts. They are sitting there waiting to be processed. I'll do that right after this video, and they're going to go out in the mail too. And I don't want things to get rained on. So if it's still super, super rainy, I'm going to drop them off on Saturday rather than today. So anyway, the card that I'm doing is a split card, and I think it works really, really well for this potted plant design. And I'm going to show you how I made that and how easy it is to make. It's not a hard card. And then while I was making them, I wanted to do a little 3D project as well. And so I made this adorable little potted plant that goes with it. And it holds one little Hershey's Kiss. You can probably see down in there. I'll show you better in a second with my down-facing camera. And this little guy right here is just super cute, and it's not hard to make. I used to do little kiss tents a lot, and you could probably do a kiss tent for this design as well, but I really like the fact that it looks like a little pot. So if you use this as a favor, maybe for like an event or something like that, this would make just a cute little thing to pop on everyone's plate, and it's actually going to look like a little potted plant. And I can see this for lots of different events. There's botanical gardens and like afternoon teas and things like that. A lot of people love plants, so this would make a great little favor to put on everyone's place, or make a little display of a whole bunch of little plants in little pots. So I think it will be really cute. And then of course you'll have to make the card to go with it. And as always, if you are on my email list, or you want to be on my email list, you can find out how to get on my email list below. There's a little link, and all you have to do is fill it out. It's free. But then on Saturdays, I send out a project sheet for my Friday projects. And it's just handy because it has a supply list, it has a photo, and it has directions with the measurements, and it just makes it easier to do my projects. And then if you get stuck along the way, down at the very bottom, I always include the link back to my video tutorial so you can easily find it, so you can go to that section and see how I did it live, because I tend to be when I demonstrate these days with these live videos, I tend to go slower, and because I really want to show how to make something. Even if you're completely new, I want to kind of show how to do it so that you understand how it's done. So the project sheet is so you can whip through it quickly once you understand how to make it. And then the video tutorial is like as a backup, so that if you don't understand something, my written words, you can use that as a backup. All right, guys, I am ready to get started. I'm going to switch over to my other camera, prop up my project sheet, and we're going to do the fancy fold card first. But first, let's talk about the Plentiful Plants bundle. You'll definitely need this bundle if you're creating these cards and the little potted plant as I'm demonstrating it. Remember, when you buy the dies and the stamp set together, it's called the Plentiful Plants bundle, you save 10% over buying the two of these separately. I'm also going to be using, where is my paper? Let me pull out a pack here. So the Plentiful Plants paper, I used it for the front of this card. This little brick design is in this pack. And I just want to mention this. This is called Bloom Where You're Planted Designer Series paper. And right now, for the month of July 2021, this paper is 15% off. So if you're getting the bundle, you might want to get the matching paper because it's got some of the same plant designs, some really nice neutrals like this brick that you can use with it. So definitely think about picking this up because it's on sale for this month only. All right, so let me show you this card. So here is the front of the card, and then when you open it, you've got the inside, and you've got my little smudge right here. This was my sample card, and I smudged it with ink. So that became my card, which is fine, but it's got that cute little stamping on the inside, and it lines up. I made sure that this piece on the inside lined up so you don't see it from the front. And you know, it just looks kind of cute and fun. I think this card looks a lot like maybe a little window, just the way it's designed. It kind of looks like a shelf with a window. So I thought that was kind of a fun way to use the split card design for these plants. And then we have this little potted plant. And I've used this design before when I did those little potted pansies. But I create like a little stem, and this time it holds a little kiss in there, okay? And so you just place that in there, and then I'll show you how to do the little pot and make the little plant, and it should be fairly straightforward and easy. All right, let's start off with creating the card. So I like to use my Simply Scored. If you have a trimmer, you can also use a scoring blade on your trimmer. For this one, the potted plant, it's a little more fun to do it on the Simply Scored because then you don't have to shift your cardstock. But for this particular card, there's only one score mark. So we're going to create our card base, and it's kind of a short card base because we're adding to it with the split card design. So this piece measures 7 inches by 4 1/4, and just slide the long side up at the top, and we're going to score at the 5 1/2 inch mark. And that is all the scoring that we're doing for that. Pop this over here. Okay, and then we're going to do, we're going to need 3 panels of basic white cardstock. And they all measure the same because basically what we're doing, 1 panel here, one panel on the back here, and then one panel for the inside, and they all measure the same. They are 3¼ inches by 4 inches. Let me double check that. Yes, 3¼ by 4 inches. All right, so with the first panel, we are going to create the front of the card. So you can do this one of two ways. If you are a stamper that is a little bit skittish about gluing paper down and then stamping, you can create like a little, if you're doing a lot of these, you can create yourself a little piece that you can just temporarily lay on top of here. So this paper piece or this scrap cardstock piece would be 3¼ across by 3/4 inch. 3¼ by 3/4 inch. And the same thing for this one. And you can just lay this down here at the bottom. And then you can take your first pot. I like to work with the bigger pot first. And then this is Cajun Craze ink. And I'm just gonna stamp this just above the black. So I just need to kind of orient it. And let me have a look here. So it's about 1/2 inch in from the side. So you can kind of do that to create your design so that you know exactly where to stamp this. What I do though, because I'm a fairly confident stamper because I've done this so many times, I just went ahead and I just glued mine right down. Okay. And so then I'll just finish the rest of my stamping. Now let's hope I don't make a mistake, right? So then I'm going to take Just Jade ink, and I'm going to take my big plant, leafy plant, and I'm just going to center this and just stamp it right on the top right here. I'm going to need to die cut a little pot in just a second. So I need to do that in order to, let me close these up. I need to die cut my little pot so that I can know where to stamp the other plant on top of it. So let me just bring it in my die cut machine real quick. And I've got a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I'm going to take this little pot right here, and conveniently there's 2 of them, so if you're making a lot you can run 2 of these through at the same time. That really helped me when I made 50 thank you cards, because that way I could run them through 2 at a time. So let me just run this through the die cut machine, and that cuts just a teeny tiny little pot. So that will give us a little bit of dimension. All right, pop that back over there so we don't lose dies. You don't want to put those little dies somewhere where you can't find them. So I have been pretty bold in gluing things down, but this I'm going to use, I'm just going to pop this over here on here, and I'm going to make myself a little pencil mark right in the center of the pot. So now I know where I'm going to stamp my next plant. I'm going to use Garden Green, and I'm going to use this, I think it's called Mother's-in-Law Tongue or something like that. That's the common name for it. It's actually, I have this plant in my living room, and I just repotted it, and it's actually a very beautiful plant. It's kind of got a lot of, I don't know, I like its up and down straight design, so it's kind of a fun plant to grow. And it's It takes a little bit of neglect because sometimes I'm not that great anymore about taking care of my plants. The only plants that survive here are ones that can take a little neglect. And the mother's-in-law tongue, I think that's what it's called, is fairly hardy because I haven't killed it yet. So then I'm just going to add my little pot underneath there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my thank you stamp and I'm going to use Evening Evergreen. I'm using 3 different greens. And you know, plants tend to have different shades of green. So that's why I kind of want to have different greens on here, just so it's not boring. Okay, so I'll ink my thank you up in Evening Evergreen, and this thank you is also in that same stamp set, so you don't need a separate stamp set. All the stamps I'm using today are all in one stamp set. So here is the cute little front panel all ready to go. And since I've got my inks out and I'm stamping anyway, let's go ahead and do the inside panel real quick so that we don't have to go back to it and get my fingers all inky again. So for the inside, I took a different pot and I inked this up in Cajun Craze down here at the bottom. And then I thought I would do this plant. It's got 3 leaves instead of 5, just to be a little bit different. And I'm going to use Just Jade again, same as the plant in the front. And now I'm reaching over to grab a piece of scrap paper because this little plant is actually going to end up landing off the side of the panel. So just got Just Jade. I'm going to line this up. Just a little note, you may want to practice stamping the plants. When you look through the photopolymer, you'll see right at the edge of the stamp, you want to butt that right up against your pot. And it might take you a couple of practice rounds to get that just right, but I'm sure if you practice, you'll get the spacing right. Once you know how far down you need to go, then it looks like that pot is right, or the plant is right in the pot. So just give it a little practice. You know, I've been stamping for a long time, so I probably make it look a little easier than it is. And it's not hard, just sometimes you need a little practice. So don't get frustrated by using your good cardstock right away. Start off with some scrap paper and practice a little bit before you jump into the good stuff. Okay, and then I have this other little greeting that I'm going to, I think this is Evening Evergreen, yes. I'm going to add here, it says a little note with the biggest thanks, and I'm going to add that right up top like that. And I think I have done all my stamping. So I'm going to put away all my ink pads so that I don't have inky fingers. Okay, so we've got all of our panels, and we just need actually one more panel. And that will be coming down here onto our base. And one thing I liked about this card design is it was fairly easy to line things up. So this little piece right here is an Evening Evergreen cardstock, and it measures 4 1/4 by 1.5 inches. And the easiest thing I found for assembly of this card, when I flip this over, my basic weight is fairly see-through. So I can see, I just want to put Tombow on this bottom 3/4 of an inch of the card. So I'll just put a little Tombow down here. I've got my little glue and a little pot upside down. And then I'm going to line up this designer series paper right here with the edge. And I'm just going to center it. I'm eyeballing it so that it looks centered, somewhat centered. And so then I can just press down. And you can see it just, the paper lines up with the edge. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. It's very, very easy to line up. And now I'm going to show you a little trick for aligning this all up so you don't have to like try and figure out, is it all lined up? So first of all, let's fold along this score line here that we created earlier. Just smooth down the fold. And if you bring back in your scoring tool, let me see if I can get this on camera here. Oh, it's going to be really tight. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come up a little bit so I can get it on here. All right, there we go. Let me twist this so it's straight, so it doesn't look. So I actually have one of my ridges here. This is normally the top of my scoring, simply scored. This is the top and this is the side. Okay, so there's a ridge here and a ridge here. So I'm going to place my card base here with the little flap up top like here. And then I'm going to add this right here, and this is going to glue down right here. Okay, but the nice thing about this is I'm sticking everything into this corner here. Okay, so everything is lining up. It's going to be nice and easy for you to add. You're not going to have to slide it around. You can just hold it into that corner and smooth it down. So to do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of Twine Bow right up here at the top 3/4 of an inch, just like I did for the bottom. It's just a little bit near the top. And then I'm going to hold this into the corner, push this into the corner, and then I'm just going to slide everything down until it connects here. You might need to do this if you're doing like 10 cards. By the 10th card, you'll be like flying through this and doing it really quickly. It really helped when I was making 50 thank you cards. Lining things up like this is just so much easier. Okay, so now I've got that lined up. I know that it's perfectly straight. And to give this card a little bit of support, it's already fine, but on the inside, I wanted, you could leave it like this, but since I'm using just regular basic white, not the thick stuff, I thought let's go ahead and let's make sure that this has a nice backing to make this part stronger. So I'm going to take my blank back panel, put a little bit more Twine Bow at the top and the bottom, and then just a little light bit in the center. And then what I'm going to do is line this up on the back. And you know what? It doesn't have to be straight from top to bottom, but you just need to kind of eyeball it so it's centered. And then I'm just going to use my fingers and feel and make sure it's lined up on the side. That's the easiest way I know how to do it, is just kind of feel it so that it's lined up, and then I can press down. And then this is backed up and it's a lot stronger of a card base than if I had just used this, because we've got a split in our card right here. Okay, so now how do I attach this? Because I want this panel to be perfectly lined up. If I've got a little bit, if I've got it crooked, you're going to see it. So I've got a little trick for that. I'm going to turn this upside down so my bottom is up here, okay? I'm going to put glue on the back of this, and then I'm going to fold the card over top. So let's put the glue on here, just using a little light bit of glue, right? Not too much, so we don't want to overwhelm this piece. So now I'm going to line this up. Okay. Once it's lined up, I'm going to take this, make sure you don't shift it, and then I'm going to come down and fold it and then press. And if all things go well, look, it lines up perfectly. So when you open it up, you've got a space to write, but you know where to write because you don't want to have anything showing through here on the sides, right? So that works out perfectly. Okay, and then you can just add a little baker's twine bow to the top. And this one, I use the Essentials twine pack, and it comes with a bunch of neutral colors, and I am using the crumb cake color here. And for this, I just like to use a little dab of glue. Some people like to use glue dots. I really like to use Twine Bow, and I just put a little dab, and then I just kind of hold it there for a few seconds to kind of make sure those fibers are attaching to the Twine Bow. I actually find the Twine Bow holds better than the mini glue dots. So at least for the twine, I don't use glue for all ribbon, but for the twine it works really well. And that is the split card. Really cute, huh? And it kind of looks like a window, right? All right, let's make our little potted plant. And so we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our potted plant. And this time I'm using some soft succulent, and I'm going to use Evening Evergreen. Need to clean off my stamp because I just used it in Just Jade. I wanted a bit of a darker color so it would stand out on the soft succulent. So let's go ahead and ink this up in Evergreen. Make sure, I just like to hold this down for a few seconds, especially on colored cardstock. Our stamps and inks stamp best on our regular basic white. The colored cardstock is a little bit more porous. It's got a little bit more bumps on it. And so it takes a little while longer to get the ink on there. Not as long as that I was just talking, but just hold it like a second or two, okay? And then we're going to take our die cutting machine, bring it in here, and the sandwich is really easy. Base plate 1, die cut adapter 2, clear plate 3, your piece of cardstock, you want your plant die, and I'm just going to hopefully align that somewhat okay. And then I'm going to run this through. All right, I did a okay job of doing that. So there's my little plant. We'll set that aside, and we also need 2 pots. So I'm going to use Cajun Craze. Slide this back. And we'll just cut out 2 pots out of this little strip right here. I didn't stamp these with the stamp. I could have done, but I didn't really like the look of the stamped pot for this particular 3D pot. I actually sponged it, so I'll show you how I did that in a second. So let me run through with a second pot. All right, got my 2 pots. And now we can take this out of the way. All right, so you can sponge these, or you can stamp them. So you could use the stamp Cajun Craze on Cajun Craze, or if you use maybe a slightly darker color, it will show up better and do the shading better. So you choose what you want to do. You can absolutely do that. I'm going to show you how I sponged mine. So I've got Cajun Craze and I've got a sponge dauber. So I'm just going to go around the outside of the pot and the top of the pot. All right, and then to create that line, you know how they have the rim up at the top? I'm going to take this and align it up with the little edge right there. Okay, so I've got it like that. And then I'm going to come in and just do this, because that's going to give the shadow under the pot like that. Okay, so that's going to create the look of a pot. So let me show you again. I just sponge on the outside, and you know what? Let me bring this back down a little bit again so we're a little closer to me. All right, so I'm sponging right around the edge. Just keep going. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't look even, because the pot will, in real life, doesn't look even. So you don't want to put it down on this part of the pot. You want to put it on the upper part. So this is just a Post-it note. I'm just lining it up like that. And then you can come along here and just, and don't get it on your fingers like I did, but just do it underneath. And there you can see how it kind of creates that line or the rim of the little pot. Okay? That's how you would sponge it. All right. So we've got these two, and we've got our leaves, and now we need to create our little piece, our little scored piece that's going to connect everything. And I've lost my piece. Here it is. Oh, and this is my little bow for afterwards. So I'm going to just leave that there on the side. Let me bring in my scoring tool once more. And this little piece measures 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. So put the 2 7/8 inch side up at the top, and you're going to score at the 1 inch mark and the 1 7/8 inch mark. Okay. And then turn this to one of the short sides, and then we're going to score at the 1/4 inch mark and the 1 1/8 inch mark. So this is what it looks like. I will have a diagram on the project sheet so you can see this better. Okay. So then I'm going to cut little V's on both long sides at the score intersections. Okay, so I'm going to just create little tabs by doing this. Right at the score intersection. Like that. Turn it around to the other long side. This just takes a moment. Okay, and that's what it looks like. And get rid of these little V's. And then I'm just going to fold this along the score line. Use my bone folder. Kind of folding these all at once. Okay, like that. All right. Okay, there's our little piece, and it's ready for our little potted plants. So I'll just take some Tombow here. And we'll put it along this bottom piece and this piece. So the two middle tabs need a little Tombow, and then I'm just going to line up the bottom of my pots on the little tabs. Okay. And then if you want to be fast and you want to live dangerously, you can put Tombow on all 4 tabs at the same time. And that's what I'm going to do. But if you're doing this for the first time, maybe just one at a time would be just fine. So I'm just going to put a little Tombow on each of those tabs just so it's quicker. But you're going to have to be careful because you don't want to stick your fingers in those tabs. So I'm going to line that up with this bottom right here. Let me just show you a second. So I'm lining up the tabs with the bottom part of my pot, not the top part that sticks out. So I'm bringing it in, and I'm bringing it in past that top rim. So that little rim is going to stick out just a little bit on the side. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so then just flip it to the other side and bringing it in. Oh, my little pot shifted a little bit earlier. Okay, I think I got it back on track. Luckily the glue is a little slidey, so it will work with me a little bit. Okay. So there's the teeny tiny little pot, holds 1 Hershey's Kiss. Okay, I forgot to go grab a piece of soft succulent. Let me grab that. Sorry, I had to forget one piece of my plant. You're going to need a piece, this is the stem, and this piece measures 5.5 inches by 1/4 inch. So I just take a piece that's like 5.5 inches long, and I cut 1/4 inch off of that to make it easy for myself. Okay, I start with a quite a larger piece, and then I just cut a little stem off. So 5.5 by 1/4 inch, and you can just curl this a little bit with a bone folder or your fingers, and we're going to put glue, Tombow, on the top inch approximately, and you're just going to line those two up, the two ends, and kind of press down a little bit. So you've kind of created like a little loop. And then I need a Hershey's Kiss, which is also across the room. All right, here's my Kiss. I always have kisses on hand. And then I'm just gonna slide this in, and there was a little bit more glue, so you can kind of just press down the glue just a little bit more. And if you need a little bit more glue, just so it gets close, you want it close to the top of the Kiss. We're going to cut off some of this top portion. I just wanted it to be long, so it was easier to handle, because you know, I could have made this a little bit shorter, but it's nice to be able to handle this and have a little bit more to hang on to. So this is going to get glued to here. So you're going to need to have a look and see how tall you want your plant. Okay, and then you're going to cut off the excess part of the plant. Okay, and then just put a little bit of Tombow on the tip, and then glue the top part of your plant down. I think this makes a reasonable facsimile of a plant, right? And then you can just stick that into your little pot like that. Okay, and then if you want to tie a little tiny bow, or maybe like a little jewel or something to put on the front, just to add a little bit of pizzazz to the front. So again, I'll use a little dot of Tombow. I'm going to take my pot out for a second, my plant out for a second, and then just hold that little bow on there for a few seconds, just so that it grabs the fibers and starts sticking. Okay, and then I can put my plant back in there, and there's a cute little potted plant, right? And it matches everything so well. I'll bring back in my my card, and there's my little plant. So cute, right? And that works all together. So what do you think? I hope you like that little project, and maybe you'll find it useful for some sort of event that you're coming up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you click on the bell afterwards, you can fix your notifications, so how often you want to see me pop up in your feed or your inbox or whatever, so make sure you do that as well. All the supplies I used today are on my blog, and if you order from me using the host code, where's my host code? There's my host code for the month. This month I have a sampler pack of designer series paper that I'm handing out if you order $50, at least $50 with the host code this month. And also you get to choose one of my tutorials for free. This was last month's design, and you can choose any one of my tutorials, but this was my little Hershey's ball cap from last month. And that's one of the tutorials that you can choose from. So I just wanted to mention that, just in case you have not ordered the Plentiful Plants bundle yet. It's a great bundle. I haven't really seen anything like it. There's one of the things on the bundle that I haven't used yet is this cute macrame die. which is really kind of fun to add to your card. So there's lots of fun designs out there that I've seen other demonstrators do. So this is really a bundle that's gaining a lot of attention right now, and I think you're going to really love it, especially if you get that paper that matches, because there's a lot of versatility when you use all of them together. All right, I am going to pop in and answer your questions and say hello and make sure I haven't made any glaring errors or explained everything well enough. Good morning, Ellie. Oh, you're getting rained on. Good morning, Christine and Birgit. Good morning, Deborah. She's got a stormy yesterday and gorgeous today. Well, that's nice. Hopefully we'll have a nice Saturday because it is pretty soggy right now. Christine says she's in between weather right now. Because it's Wimbledon. Oh, nice. You guys need some good weather, right? Good morning, Cindy. Let me just see. Christine said I could stamp a hanging plant there. Yes, I mean there's lots of different options for plants. I went with all non-hanging plants, maybe because I only have plants that sit on countertops right now and or the floor. So I guess I wasn't thinking hanging plants, but yes, I should do another card with the hanging plant just to show how cool that is. Christine says, I like that you go slow on your YouTube channel. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that I know for some people I might be going too slow because they understand and they can whip through it quickly. But really, the videos are for the people that have trouble, that need it. That's why it takes longer, and I want to show it because I'm there for those people that need my help. The people that can be self-sufficient on their own. You know what you could do if this video is like too much for you, I'm going too slow, that you can speed up the video. My son does this with his lectures at university. He speeds them up because sometimes the person's going too slow for him and he wants to get the information faster. So speed me up or get to the section where you need, just follow along the timeline and it shows you the little clip of where everything is at, and you can speed me up too if that's too much, right? Oh, Cindy said she called it snake's tongue. Oh, interesting. I think it's also called mother's-in-law tongue, but I'm not 100% for sure. Mother's-in-law tongue need to be hardy for good reason. Oh, and I'm not neglecting it on purpose. I get busy sometimes and I forget, and I'm like, no, I don't want to overwater. Overwatering sometimes is worse than underwatering, right? Let's see. Cindy says she's been on the fence about this paper and set until now. Aw, well, I'm glad I've inspired you. It's nice to have something a little different because we have a lot of flowers and stuff, but I really like the set, and I'm sure Google it on Pinterest and you'll see a whole bunch more designs pop up. It's a very popular bundle right now, and I think you'll be inspired by what other people are doing too. Christine says she loved how the bottom strip was different than the top. And you know what I thought? It kind of reminded me of a window, this card. And so I thought, this bottom should look a little different. For some reason, I felt like it needed to be different. I could have gone back with the soft succulent, but I thought just having that dark base kind of grounded it in. So let's see. Oh, we have another Cindy on here too. Cindy, if you're looking for the link to this card and the link to the supplies, I'll see if I can post it. It's hard for me to post in the live chat, but if you go to the description of this video, I have the link over to my blog, and that has a complete supply list at the bottom if that's what you're looking for. And by link, if you mean my project sheet link, just look for where to subscribe to my email list, and or it says get a project sheet, and then there's the link, and I send out my project sheets on Saturday, so that you won't get it today, but on Saturday look for my project sheet. I did not complete my project sheet today, so I need to finish it off with all the complete instructions. And sometimes while I'm doing the video, I find that there's a better way to do something, and so I change it on my project sheet. So I try and give it a day and make sure they go out on Saturday. So there's always a day delay. All right. Christine said, I used to follow Brenda years ago, but may well sign up for her newsletter again. Aw. Thank you, Christine. It's, you can do all of my projects with my video tutorials, but it's nice to get those project sheets in your email inbox on Saturdays. Let's see. Hello, Amy. Good morning. I'm just reading my comments. Aw, thank you so much. Oh, okay. I see what Christine meant. Where my little splotch was, I could have put a hanging plant. Yeah, I could have, except I put that splotch there afterwards. So, so once the card, and I had finished the card, and I was putting stuff away, and I had ink on my hands, and I got it on the card. So it would have been great if I had done that ahead of time and then put on the plant and covered it up. But you know what? It served me well, because then I could use it as my sample card, and I wasn't so scared that I was going to mess it up. I could have it propped open and have all my ink pads out and not worry if I got that card messy more, that was going to be my sample card. So it was okay to sacrifice one card with a finger smudge of Cajun crazing. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I hope the weather is clears up and you have a beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold, not too wet, not too dry. And I will see you back here next week with projects on Tuesdays and again on Friday. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.